Hello everyone, I am Aman Bhai Patel, Technical Lead at Codezilla Club. This video will be on APIs. Today, I will be explaining how APIs work and I will also be showing you how to use a web API. Let's get on with some API basics here. An API stands for Application Programming Interface. An API is basically an access point to a computer system's data and functions. Let me give you a small example. Suppose you are at an ice cream shop and you want some ice cream. So you go to the person selling the ice cream and you request some ice cream from the person. And the person has to check if the ice cream exists, and if it does, collect the ice cream, prepare it in a cone or cup or whatever which way you prefer, and serve it to you. The API is the same. Your program sends a request to the system. The system verifies if the request is valid or not and returns the data that you requested. Now, for an API, you will your program and should know a set of rules, set of protocols, and it allows you to efficiently use the API so that you don't have any errors. APIs use a few languages to communicate, most notably are XML and JSON, but it really depends on the systems and the developer's choice. Some APIs also require you to validate yourself before using them. For example, some websites like Google and Twitter, they allow you to use the APIs after you log in. APIs are not always free. Some require you to pay for their services. One example being Google APIs. Some APIs also use time restraining methods like, say, for example, 10 minutes per request to control the amount of people accessing the system or to market their API. Now, let's move on to the types of APIs that you can find. An API is broadly categorized into three different types: ownership types, communication level, and service and web service APIs. For ownership types, it is based on who owns the right to use the API. So there are four types available. We have open API, which is free for all and usually is throttled. API, we have partner APIs, which is used with specific rights to another organization's data. So basically, like log into your game with Google or Facebook. An internal API is an API made by developers so that to be used internally within that organization. Composite APIs is usually a mix of data and service APIs. You don't really have to think much about composites. The next type of API is communication level and has two types: high level and low level. High level APIs, as opposed to their name, actually have limited functionalities and are usually time restricted. Low level APIs is more like a dev sided API, as if the API has the power to change internal data and editing functionality. So, the third type of APIs that we will be looking at is web service APIs, the most common one available in the modern world. It uses servers and systems available on the internet as the system, and the API is going to be a URL or a website link. So basically, a server is the access point to your program. It is split on based on how the API behaves. So you have SOAP, stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. It is getting old. You don't really have to do this one, but still, a lot of people do use it. It uses XML and it works for procedural calls transported via HTTP, the hypertext transfer protocol. And then we have REST. These days, everyone uses REST as these days everything is a data-driven world, and it stands for representational state transfer, and it allows for transfer of data in a JSON. And your requests are usually processed through the web URL. So the web URL is the access point, and you need to know how to decode a JSON to use this API. My demonstration will be using a REST API that uses JSON. So let's get on to the next part. Examples that you have: IRL examples of API in real life. So we have a few of them. You can pause this video to read up on all of these, or I'll just quickly give you a few of them. So Spotify app uses APIs to play music. You have the Indian banking apps like Paytm, Google Pay, and others that use the UPI API to process payments. A lot of sites let you access your data through APIs like YouTube, your views, your subscribers, just like that. And then next, we will be moving on to a live demo. But before that, I would like to show you how a web API works through an animation. So here we have our program on the left, you have a server on the right, and first our program will be making a request to the server, so it establishes the connection just like this. A request will be made, a connection will be established, the request gets transferred to the server then processes it and sends a status code. And once the processing is done, it sends the requested data. Now, this process will repeat if you have multiple calls. Now, this process can stop just after this part of the animation. If your request is failed, they'll send you a status code saying wrong and then saying wrong request, and then they'll just terminate the site. So not always this is the perfect state. Like if you had the perfect request, if you had the perfect internet to do this. Now, first for a few web API basics, we will have to learn about a few request types. There are 5 of these right here. You have get, post, put, patch, and delete. So get is to request some data from an online resource. Post is to create some new resource on the server. Just to put is to update some resource. Patch is to modify some resource. So put and patch is usually almost the same, but not most. It's mostly the same. It's not completely the same. So delete is to obviously delete some resources. Now the next part is web APIs, basics, a little bit more basics. I will be using a Open Web API, so it's available for everyone. I use Python 3.8, but you can use any language that supports HTTP requests. Internet connection. Obviously, you will need an internet connection. If you don't have an internet connection, you will not be able to connect to the servers. So the API which I will be using is Elite is a API for a game. It's called Elite Dangerous Star Map.net, EDSM.net. I will show you the web page in 1 second right now. There you go. This is the web page for edsm.net. You can visit it if you want. And this web page literally has a list of star systems with their coordinates, which I will be using to make a program to get the distance between two stars by their 3D coordinates. So you can go down here. You can see the API part of the web page, and I will be going to API systems version 1. But you can go through all of these if you would like to. So there you go. This has the API page has been opened up. You can see all the API will return messages in JSON, and queries will work with get. So I will be using get over here. Now I need an information about system. So let's see how to get the information from a system. First of all, you see HTTP request. So this is the URL that you will be using. And the URL has been associated with a lot of parameters like this huge table right here. So now you have system name asterisk. Asterisk means you have to give this value for this API to work. Now, first of all, system name here means you need to provide a solo system name so that you can get the details back. And then you have extra parameters over here. So suppose I want coordinates. So I'm going to put show coordinates, and you can see the default value is 0. So I'm going to set it to 1 to get system coordinates. So you can even read up on what these are. Now, if you move down a little bit, you can find out the output. Now, output will show you how the JSON file will be provided back to you. So right now, if you know a little bit of Python, if you have read a bit of Python data structures, you can easily find out that this JSON file is coming back in the form of a Python dictionary. And Python dictionary and JSON are almost the same. But you can see here that this will be a key value, key value, key value pair. So we can easily process this using Python. So let's get to the code part right now. Here you go. This is my code editor. I use VS Code for I have code on top, results on the bottom. Right now I'll close the results. So as you can see, I have the Python program here that I will be using for this demonstration. I have requests imported. So requests is a library that handles all your net-based libraries. So you can see request HTTP library written in Python using for human beings. Very nicely written. So you can get. So now the next part is you can read the description on requests on the Python official site. Documentation, and now this is just a function to calculate the distance between two 3D points, which is you can find the formulas online, and if you remember a bit of 10th and 12th, you should remember this formula. This is the basic code for that formula. Now next part is I'm going to split screen here so that you can easily see how I'm converting this API to code. There you go. So first of all, I will be saving this URL somewhere in the code. There you go. I'm going to save it as URL as a string. And then now I want the names of the two star systems from the user, me. And so I've taken these two simple input boxes technically. And then now I have a dictionary. Now for the extra parameters, we're going to make a dictionary. In Python, we're going to use a dictionary. I'm not sure about the other languages, but here in Python, we will use a dictionary. So the first things first key value pair will be your system name, which is required, and then a name one. Name one is your input from last time. And then now we want coordinates. So I'm going to write show coordinates. You're going to copy paste this from here, copy, and then paste it as the second value here. And then you're going to set it to 1. You're going to put the value of that as 1. If you want anything else, you're going to put another comma and then write the next part like show information 1, show a permit 1. Just like that, you can have multiple hundreds of values requested or not requested based on some triggers, I guess. So next is actually getting the data. So I've created a random variable called data1, and I'm going to use the requests library. I'm going to use the get function from the request class, and then I'm going to send in. You can see the get has URL. You need the URL, and you need the parameters. So I'm going to write the URL as this string, and rec data 1 is our dictionary, the parameter dictionary, and we're going to put it here. So now this line of code will connect to the server, ask for all the information, and it's going to take it and put it into this data1 object. Now the same thing for the other star. We're gonna just copy paste the code, change the variable names and such, and that's it. We have technically we have all of the data stored in data1 and data2. Now to extract the data, we need to first save it as a JSON. So first we check the status code. If you remember status code, remember a status was coming down from the animation before the data. So first we will check the status code. You can see data1 here is a response object. Now a response object means that it has some status codes. So response object, you can read up on response objects on the Python official document. But I know that there is a variable called status underscore code. So I'm going to be checking the values against it. Now you can search up on status codes online, but most common ones you will ever need is 200 and 404. 200 means that the request is valid and is going to be sending data back. So I've completely written this line if else. Obviously we need a if else. So this line will check if both of them are 200. If one of them is 200, it won't come down to this. Now else, if any of them is 404, just abort the program, write connection error, and sad smiley face, sad emoji because you don't have a connection. So now we'll come back to here. We have a print that it has received the data. So it's going to start processing. We're going to get a new object here, a new variable, and we're going to name it as save data1, and then we're going to equate it to data1.json. Now data1 is a response type, so response can be of JSON, XML, whatever. So here the response type the response class has a .json function to convert the incoming data into a JSON string, and the JSON string will be saved in save data1. Similarly, save data2 holds the second information. Now if you want to see the string, or if you want to see this string in action, like this string, you can, if you want to see all of these keys and values, you can obviously write print save data 1. But suppose if you want to just see the string keys that you received from this, you're just going to run save data one dot keys. The dot keys function will give you the will give you the list of keys inside the JSON string. So here it will come up as name, coords, and maybe another one. But I hope we'll get names and we'll get coords. We need only those two. So now the next part of the function is just to pass those values and print it pass those values into my get distance function and print those values properly. So you can obviously see coords here holds another dictionary, and this dictionary has another key pair values of x, y, and z. So I've already passed it to the function. My function does this for me. I don't have to do it. So let's run this code. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to run it. It's asking for *1, so I'll write sol. And in game, this sol system is 0, 0, 0, or our solar system is the origin point for the entire galaxy. And *2 will be Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri, there you go. It's the closest star known to mankind. You can see the distance between Alpha Centauri and our solar system is around 4.3 light years. So let's see if we are correct. So there you go. It says connected, receiving data. And it says now our next line was print save data 1 dot keys. So you can see it has 3 keys. And one of them is name, the other one is coordinates, the next one is coordinates locked. And if you know JSON processing, you can quickly understand how the distance function is working. And you can see 4.38 light years. That's the distance they have put in the game. So that's it for my demonstration. Next. Before I close this, I would like to give you a quick warning as to how you should use APIs. You should not spam public APIs with request calls, or they will block you. You should obviously start to cache your data. If you don't know how to cache data, learn how to put your data into a file, and that should be it. If you have the data already in your file, you should not request from the API. So you should be smart while programming APIs. Do not over abuse public APIs. So that'll be it for this demonstration. Be sure to like this video, write your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, and subscribe to Codezilla community on YouTube and hit the bell icon to get notified on our future releases. Follow our social media handles to get information about events and promos, and if you want to join us, visit our Mozilla community page and sign up there. We are open source, so it's a perfect place for misfits and technophiles who are interested in our cause. Everybody stay safe during this hard times, and I will see you later.